Feliz. I used to be a member of this group many years ago. I grew up in the Bronx boy, born and raised. I went to University of Missouri in a baseball scholarship. I was second team All-American back then. I was drafted by the New York Mets, played in their farm system for a couple of years before I got hurt. And then from there, started working in insurance after college, and I worked for Marsh, which is the biggest insurance company in the world. Did that for a couple of years. Decided I didn't want to commute to New York anymore. Back in 1992, I moved to New Jersey. And so I got this great idea of buying a restaurant. So I bought this restaurant in Red Bank when Red Bank was terrible. Not like it is now. It was so bad that the McDonald's on the block went out of business. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
Back then, back in the middle 90s. So as I had the restaurant, I realized I hated owning a restaurant. Things do happen for a reason. The person that signed us for merchant services at that time was an older woman. She was looking to retire. So she asked me if I wanted to she thought I would be good for that mixed business. And I said, well, I'll give it a try and see what it's like. And I enjoyed it. And then I took over her book of business and I went from there. This was back in 1999. And I took it to another level. I started working for a larger company in New York. So again, I went back to commuting in New York, and then became one of the top sales guys. In 2005, I decided to open up my own business. It was on 33rd Street between 7th and 8th. Another terrible decision, but at the time it seemed like a smart decision because it's not like how it was now. Back then, everything was done by fax and in person. Now it's everything's over the internet. So 2009, I said, you know what, I'm done with New York. I got rid of New York City, so I opened up an office here in New Jersey in Towns River. So what makes us different, like merchant service, everybody hears merchant service, they go, oh, this guy does credit card processing. Yes, that is a part of what we do. It is a big part of what we do, but we take it to a different level. We are what's called an ISO. So what the difference is that when you meet some guy in the street that sells merchant services, it could be anyone. It could be a kid who just got hired. It could be some guy who works for a company. It could be some guy who has a second career, wants to sell merchant services. Our business is we're considered nice, so we're registered with MasterCard Visa, which means we pay a lot of money a year to be part of the program of Visa and MasterCard. We get to prefer the rates directly from MasterCard Visa, so we don't have to bump them up like all the other people do. So in our business, when you're a registered ISO, you hire other people below you who are other little ISOs, and then they have to bump up the rates to try to make money, and so on. And then they hire banks and other companies, because banks don't do their own processing. There's only two banks that do processing themselves, Ocean First and Wells Fargo. All the rest of them contracted out. So they have to bump their rates up a little bit higher in order to make money. So us being not the middleman, we sell directly to the client, and we handle everything, we service everything, which helps our clients to keep their costs down as far as their overall fees. The other thing that we do is really big is we are really big on technology. I own 2 patents of technology for, back in 2014, there was the issue of, before the chip card started, everyone used to swipe their little cards on the side of a monitor, and they were getting hacked left and right. And I saw we were going to follow Europe. Europe was way ahead of us as far as merchant services, as far as security, because they had those chip cards back in early 2000s, where we were reluctant to do it because we had a couple of big power players like Microsoft, Walmart, and I believe the other one was Target, who didn't want to convert their system because it was going to cost $1 million to convert. So they fought it really hard with their lobbies and kept us on that regular credit card. What the result of that was we got breached. We're getting breaches all over the place in 2014. And finally, the straw that broke the camel's back was when Walmart got hacked themselves. The ones who were fighting it, they actually got hacked, and they were hacked for like $10 million of worth of credit cards that were stolen out of their system. When that happened, the government just stepped in and said, you know what, that's it, we're done. You guys have to switch over the system. That's when the chip card came in effect. Now in 2014, I knew this was coming, so I got 2 patents for the restaurant systems where they use what's called the semi-integration. Semi-integration means that instead of the credit cards going through the actual system itself on the POS system, it actually goes through a credit card machine. The credit card numbers never go through the PIN system, and that it only goes to the credit card machine. That's the thing that I got a patent for. Now other systems have it, but in order for them to be PCI compliant, it costs millions of dollars. So the larger companies do have their own semi-integration, but the smaller ones don't. So what I do is I lease mine out to the smaller companies. So we have about 10 companies around the country that use our system to integrate. And then in return for that, we sell their system as well. So we're a dealer for them. We're way ahead on the technology as far as having clients up to date on their equipment, on their POS systems. We do a lot of restaurants. And I opened up an office a year ago. A little over a year ago, I opened up an office in Tampa because we wanted to migrate down. I have a house down there, and I figured, you know what, let let me expand on it. So we opened up an office. I didn't anticipate what was going to happen. I figured, you know what, this will be something when I go on vacation, I could just kind of like play around with it. Well, that playing around ended up being, I had to hire people all over the place because we were writing so much business down there. I couldn't handle it myself. I can't go down there all the time. So there were a few salespeople down there. I had 2 guys that were living here in Mount Laurel, and I sent them down there just to check it out, and they never came back. They stayed there, so they're doing really well. So I love Tampa. It's a great town. It's great for business. It's just great opportunities there. But anyway, getting back to myself, as far as our business, we started business, I guess last February, we're 21 years in business. So 21 years, I have an office I still have an office in New York, but I have it with a partner of mine in Brooklyn. We do a lot of ATMs. So he does the ATMs, we sell ATMs, we lease ATMs, and we have them all up and down the coast. We're the second largest independently owned ATM dealership in the whole Northeast. So we have about close to 4,500 ATMs on the street, all the way down, ranging down from Florida all the way up to like Massachusetts. So that's his thing. He does. I don't really get involved in that too much. That's really what he does, and we just do the merchant services. The other thing I really want to touch base on is, which is a real big deal, which is a real problem in New Jersey, and I'm sure all of us have been affected by it one way or another, is that the surcharges. Now, every restaurant, these restaurants and stores are adding a surcharge to their price when you use your credit card. The big issue is that you're not allowed to charge a debit card, and they all do it, and it's so illegal. This year, January, Visa enforcement hired 2,000 new people to go after the state. And to go after the problem states. And the problem states are New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and in New York, obviously. So New York doesn't allow surcharge at all. They only allow you to do what's called a cash discount, which means you offer a price that has your credit card fee in the price, and if you pay cash, they give you a discounted price, let's say 4% less if you pay them cash. And unfortunately, a lot of them are not following it, so they're enforcing it. In New Jersey, it's really bad in New Jersey. I mean, I go to restaurants all the time, and I use my debit card, and I see them charging me, and oh, I didn't know that, no one told me. Well, of course no one told you, because they sold you a system without telling you what the consequences are. Now, a lot of our competitors sell systems out there. What they do is they don't have the technology to really break out a debit card from a credit card. So instead of saying, oh, we can't sell you the system, they'll sell them the system, but they'll make them sign a clause in a contract that says, we know that you are surcharging, however, you are responsible for following the state laws. And they kind of push the responsibility onto the merchant. So a lot of these merchants that are out there don't realize it, that they're on the hook. So New Jersey, who's hungry for money, they got a whiff for this, and they said, you know what? We can enforce this and make money too. So in the Department of Consumer Affairs, they hired 5 people that go around the state answering complaints. And what they do is they'll go in the store, and they'll fine you, and then they'll tell MasterCard Visa. Then MasterCard Visa comes and fines you. So you're gonna get fined twice. And this year, they're really cracking down on it. And I try to tell people, so our systems, every system that we have, it separates a debit from credit card.
So I was under the impression that if you used your debit card and they swiped it and you didn't key in your PIN, it was run as a credit card and you could get the surcharge. You have to key in your PIN in order for it to register as a debit card. That is not true?
No, you're not allowed to charge a debit card at all. A debit card is considered a cash card, so they're not supposed to surcharge it. That was part of this whole thing came up because of the Durbin Act. This was back in 2000, I believe 2010. They passed it. And part of the Durbin Act, when they had an agreement with MasterCard Visa, was to allow merchants to surcharge starting in 2020. They said it would be a phase-in period. The phase-in period was started at 4%. Then last year they realized 4% was too much, and guys were making money on it, so they lowered it down to 3%. But part of that agreement was debit cards are exempt from surcharge. So if you use a surcharge, not a cash discount, it's a little bit different. A cash discount or dual pricing is your price includes the credit card fees in it. So if let's say you're charging $100, that $100, if it includes a credit card 4% credit, you have to charge up to 4%. If it includes a 4% charge in there, you are allowed to charge any card because you're giving them a cash discount when they pay cash. However, if you are surcharging, if you have your price and you are adding a surcharge fee, you are not allowed to charge a debit card. It is illegal. And everybody does it here. It's all perception. It's all about perception. It's just the way you portray it. It's like if you do this price, this is the price you get. You pay cash, you get this discount, and it's called a cash discount. That's a true way to charge a debit card. If you don't do it that way and you surcharge, you add a surcharge fee, you are not allowed to charge a debit card. And I see it every day. I have some of my reps walk around. They decide to print out the law. And they're carrying it around as part of their marketing. Here's my business card, plus here's a flyer telling you that you're operating illegally. Here's the law. Yes.
What if people pay over the phone via a card? Are you supposed to ask them, is this a debit or a credit card?
No. Your system's supposed to know that automatically.
Really?
Let's say if you have a shopping cart in the system, if you use authorized.net or any of these other gateway authenticators, they authenticate automatically if it's a debit card or a credit card. So they let us know if it's debit or credit card, and our system will automatically charge for the credit card, but will not charge for the debit card. Now, most of the companies don't do that because they don't have the technology, so they just charge. I'm not going to name any of my competitors, but I'm just telling you right now, most of them that do the surcharge, they don't have the capability of separating the two. They don't have the technology, and rather than lose the business, they would rather just write it and just push the responsibility onto the merchant. Oh, it's your problem. It's your problem. I had a restaurant not too long ago, and I tried to get them to do dual pricing, and they refused to do it. They said, "Well, we don't want to change our menu." So what I did with them, we added a little key to their POS system that says debit on it. So now what the waitresses do is they ask, "Is this a debit card or a credit card?" They say it's a debit card. They go in and press the debit key, and it takes away the fee. And then the other fee is on there. So, but it's a lot of work. I mean, I think it's stupid, but I mean, listen, it is what it is. Some of them make money on it. You're not supposed to. It's supposed to be really, the legal term that MasterCard uses, you're supposed to charge a surcharge up to cover your fees.
Yeah.
You know, I know a guy, when it was 4%, I knew a guy that bought a Corvette with the money he made extra. He bought himself a brand new Corvette. It was like 60 grand. I just want to let you guys know that if anyone if you know anyone or know that personally that is doing that surcharging, they have to understand that it's illegal.
For small business, a lot of times for taking credit cards, and but the handheld systems where you swipe in front of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you provide those if small businesses want that in their truck,
Yeah,
a
of
Wi-Fi
course,
system
sure.
like that?
Yeah, we have food trucks. We have like 10 different systems. We have the systems that could go on a little food truck that are this big. If they have a small counter, we have the bigger ones. We have the handheld ones. We have tablets. Everything. We do a lot of nonprofits around the country that when they do their nonprofit and charitable events, have a software that goes on their tablets where they walk around and they can take the credit cards. If someone's doing a silent auction, they can hold their credit cards for those items, and whoever the winners, they can charge their card automatically. So we work with a lot of companies to do that. That's why I would say that might be like maybe 60% of what we do. We do a lot of the Goodwills, we do the Arc, we do a whole bunch of them. Right?
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of them here in this area, which is ironic. We do a lot of them in the Midwest, in the West, and the South. We have about maybe 500 of them, I would say 600. So.
Is there any technology where you could say, hey, look, we just charge the processing fee, and to know, a Discover card is going to be 2%, or this is going to be that, or maybe to pre-running it to put it through and say, okay, this is going to come back at a 3% thing. If you wanted to just cover, or is there no technology for
No,
that?
it's very difficult because there's just so many card brands. I mean, Discover has like 5 different cards.
Right.
They have Discover Debit, they have Discover Regular, they have Discover Reward, they have Discover Level 2, they have Discover Corporate. It's just almost impossible to really be able to distinguish which card is which. You're talking like maybe 500 cards.
Yeah.
So the technology is not there. That 3% number is based on the national average of what normally credit card fees cost. So you're around 3%, 3.25%, maybe 3.5%. That's usually right around the average. So if you're paying around 3% to 3.5%, it's not meant to cover your fees. It's meant to help you reduce your cost and overhead. So if your composite rate is 3.5%, you're paying 3%. You're only really paying a half a basis point, which is not that bad. And that's really what the purpose of it is. It wasn't meant for people to kind of make money on it or to cover all your costs. That's why they lowered it from 4%. When it was 4%, it was too much because no one's paying 4%. I had restaurants paying 2%. They were pocketing 2% in their pocket. So it was crazy. So I guess I'm good. I'm getting the mix.
Thank you, everybody. Thank